What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage over Acts of Vengeance. Now, when it comes to Acts of Vengeance, we have to remember that this was a massive crossover that Marvel gave us in the late 1980s, early 1990s, really 1989 to 1990. Now, when it came to Acts of Vengeance, it was a way for us to see our heroes fight against characters they don't usually fight against. So for example, Spider-Man fighting against Magneto, Iron Man fighting against the Wrecker, and the list goes on. And so it was a cool way to see our heroes just fight against new people they don't usually fight against. Now, today's video, we're gonna jump back over to Spider-Man. You see, when it came to Spider-Man and Acts of Vengeance, he had an actual storyline take place in the middle of Acts of Vengeance. The idea of Peter Parker gaining new abilities, cosmic abilities. You see, when it came to Acts of Vengeance, each character's book was technically used as a way to tell a chapter in the actual crossover. But when it came to Spider-Man, well, he had 3 books. The Web of Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, and The Spectacular Spider-Man. All 3 books were used to tell different chapters of Spider-Man in Acts of Vengeance. But all 3 books were used to tell a story arc where Peter Parker had gained cosmic abilities. Now, when it came to his cosmic abilities, we don't know the true origin of these abilities just yet. Now, if you are a classic Spider-Man fan, you already know where the powers came from. But by this point in our coverage over Acts of Vengeance, especially for Spider-Man, we have no idea. And Peter Parker is trying his best to figure out more about these newfound abilities. But the problem is you have different characters just keep coming after him. And again, that's the point of Acts of Vengeance. But when it comes to Acts of Vengeance, it was technically put together thanks to Loki. You see, when it came to Loki, he realized that the bad guys are always losing to the same heroes over and over again because those heroes know how to handle those bad guys. And so you had Loki say, why don't we heroes begin to go after different characters we don't usually fight against? And possibly our powers may give us the advantage over those characters. So Magneto, why not go after Spider-Man? Wrecker, why not go after Iron Man? And so when it came to Loki and his whole entire operation, he also had an inner circle to kind of help him run the entire operation. That would be Dr. Doom, Magneto, the Red Skull, the Wizard, the Mandarin, and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. The Kingpin? Either way, when it came to the inner circle, it was a way for him to make sure that everything ran properly through them. Now, when it came to Dr. Doom, he was very intrigued in the idea that Spider-Man had gained new abilities, cosmic abilities. And so for Doom, he has been trying to find different ways to take those abilities away from Peter and give them over to himself. But like I said, though, when it comes to Acts of Vengeance, it's all about the idea of our heroes fighting against new characters. And for Peter Parker, well, he's going to fight against the Hulk. Yeah, you heard that right. And so as we dive into today's video, we're going to pick up with Amazing Spider-Man number 328. Now, in the opening pages of this book, we actually pick up with the Hulk. Now, when it came to Bruce Banner around his time in Marvel Comics, he had this thing where in the daytime, he would be Bruce Banner, but then at night, he would be the Incredible Hulk. And so as we jump over to the Hulk, we see him just trying to, make a spot for him to relax at, to have some alone time without any idea of anybody trying to bother him. But unfortunately, somebody is about to bother him by offering him some money. and that would be Sebastian Shaw. Now, around this time in Marvel Comics, Sebastian Shaw was no longer part of the Hellfire Club. Matter of fact, he was kicked out of the club by Magneto. But when it comes to Shaw, he was actually offered the chance to get revenge against the Hellfire Club. Now, like I said earlier, when it comes to acts of vengeance, it's all about the idea of seeing new characters going up against new heroes they don't usually fight against. And so when it comes to Shaw, he was actually offered to go after Spider-Man, and if he's able to get rid of Spider-Man, then they'll handle his problem, which is the Hellfire Club. And he had automatically said yes because he remembers that Magneto is the one in charge of the Hellfire Club. And Magneto is also part of the inner circle of the Acts of Vengeance group. But either way, when it comes to Shaw, he's down with the idea of trying to kill off Spider-Man as a way to get back at Magneto. And so you have Shaw just land right in front of the Hulk. And when he does, he said, hey man, listen, I got a job for you. If you were able to get rid of Spider-Man, I will pay you a lot of money. And just like that, the Hulk is down to help out Shaw to take down Spider-Man. Now, speaking of Spider-Man, we do see him currently dealing with a terrorist situation where somebody is trying to blow up the Statue of Liberty. But this gives us another example of how powerful Peter Parker is now with his new cosmic abilities, because now he is able to do all these different kind of things without worrying about the idea of getting innocent people hurt, or most likely getting himself hurt. He is able to take down regular bad guys without any kind of struggle at all. Now, once you have Peter being able to deal with those terrorists, you then have Peter head over to a restaurant to have a double date with Flash Thompson and his latest girlfriend. And around this time in Marvel Comics, Peter was married to Mary Jane. Now, when it comes to Flash's latest girlfriend, Peter and Mary Jane automatically do not like her at all. Matter of fact, as soon as the food is done, you have our characters leave to go to the next stop, which is Mary Jane's day job. Because around this time in Marvel Comics, she had a role in a TV show. She is an actress. And so while you have Peter waiting for Mary Jane to wrap up her latest scene for the new TV show, he then realized that his spider sense is going off like crazy. Now, when it comes to Peter having his cosmic abilities, all his regular powers have also been enhanced as well. So, for example, his spider sense. But either way, when he looks over to the city, he sees something dropping. And we already know what that is. It's the Hulk. And so you have Peter Parker head straight over to the city to see why in the world the Hulk is there and why in the world the Hulk is just throwing cars all over the place. Now for the Hulk, he believes that he should be able to take down Peter Parker very easily. It's just Spider-Man, but most of the characters in Marvel Comics don't know that Spider-Man got an upgrade, that he now has cosmic abilities. And so you have the Hulk try to punch Peter Parker, but Peter's able to beat down on the Hulk. And the Hulk realized that this is not going to be an easy job. But then he realized that the sun is about to come up, which means the Hulk time is over. It's now time for Bruce Banner. And so he tells Peter, hey, you know what? We'll finish this battle tomorrow night. I gotta go. Meet me here so that we are able to wrap up our battle. And so you have Spider-Man head over to that location the Hulk told him to be at. Now, as soon as he arrives there, you then have the two characters begin to battle once again. Now, while you have the two characters battling against each other, you have the Hulk realize that this is not going to be an easy battle because Spider-Man is way stronger than he used to be. Now, in the middle of their battle, you then have both characters realize that there are two random kids there who are watching the entire battle, but now they're trying to protect Spider-Man from the Hulk, which honestly is just a bad idea. But you did have the Hulk say, you know what? I don't want to see any kids get injured because of this battle. And so what if I am able to scare them away? And so you have the Hulk pick up something hoping to scare the kids away, like he's going to throw it at them. But here's the problem. He didn't tell Peter Parker his plan. And so you have Peter get very worried in the idea that the Hulk is about to kill off some innocent kids. And so you have Peter punch the Hulk so hard, he literally goes out into space. And you have Parker realize that he may have gone just a tad bit too far. And so you have Spider-Man go out into space to get the Hulk and bring him right back down to Earth. Now, because you have Parker saving the Hulk said, you know what? I am going to leave you alone. I only attacked you because someone offered a lot of money, but you just saved my life. So because of that, I'm not going to kill you at all. And you have the Hulk leave. Now for Peter, he is still very confused on why in the world the Hulk was trying to kill him. Like, yes, he knows that money was involved, but still, why would the Hulk try to kill him off? And who had hired the Hulk to kill him off? But now we have to jump over to Spectacular Spider-Man number 160, where we do pick up with Dr. Doom still trying to find different ways to collect the energy that Spider-Man is releasing when he does use his cosmic powers. And so now we see that Dr. Doom had paid a few men to dive to the ocean floor near New York to find a certain robot, and that would be TES. Now TES stands for Total Elimination of Super Soldiers. It was made back in the 1940s just in case Steve Rogers and any future super soldiers might have gone crazy. Now when it comes to Dr. Doom, he wants to use the robot as a way to fight against Spider-Man, but to also absorb the energy that Spider-Man is releasing when it comes to his cosmic powers. And then of course, convert that energy into his own kind of energy to use against his enemies. But now we are able to jump over to Spider-Man, and when we do, we see Spider-Man fighting against his usual foes for the first time in an entire story arc of Acts of Vengeance. It's him going up against the Shocker, Rhino, and also Hydro Man. Now, this is the first time that we're seeing Spider-Man being able to use his cosmic abilities on his own foes, because most of Acts of Vengeance was really more a Spider-Man fighting against other characters who belong to other heroes. But either way, you do have Spider-Man being able to take down his foes very easily. But something else I do want to mention is that around this time in Marvel Comics, you had the public getting tired of superheroes and their super battles, because usually when a hero fights against a villain, they're causing a lot of property damage. And so Congress is trying to pass a bill in the idea of saying like, hey, you know what? If you're going to be a superhero, you gotta register and work for the government. And so currently you have the public most of the time in Acts of Vengeance just going after different heroes. Now we also learned in a previous story that this whole Congress idea was kind of made thanks by the Acts of Vengeance group as another way to get rid of superheroes. But now we jump over to the Acts of Vengeance group, where we pick up with the Kingpin and also Loki showing concerns about Dr. Doom, because Dr. Doom is not really trying to work with the others when it comes to the idea of trying to find different ways to bring down Spider-Man. But they also realize that he is very obsessed with the idea of Spider-Man and his newfound powers. Now for Kingpin, Loki, and the rest of the inner circle, they don't know that Dr. Doom is trying to claim the powers of Cosmic for himself. But he's telling them that, hey, you know, my goal is your goal. It's to get rid of Spider-Man. Now, Loki realized that Dr. Doom is up to something, but he has no idea what. But he does say that he's going to watch Doom very carefully. But you do have the Kingpin and Loki see Doom turn on Tess and tell Tess that his target is Spider-Man. But now we jump over to Peter Parker and Spider-Man, Now, when we do, you have the two characters begin to argue with one another. And it's all because Mary Jane said, hey, I feel like your newfound powers may be too much for you to handle. Now, the reason why she is saying that, because in the earlier chapters of his story arc in Acts of Vengeance, he had fought against a lot of characters, but he also caused a lot of property damage as well in those battles. And it's Mary Jane saying, hey man, listen, I just feel like those newfound powers are just way too dangerous. You need to learn more about them and get them better under control. But for Peter, he feels like Mary Jane is acting the same way as the public. And the idea that he is a menace, that other heroes are a menace, that all they're doing right now is causing damage and not trying to protect innocent lives. And so he gets very upset with Mary Jane and just walks out. Really, he swings away. But he's so upset because he believes that she's acting like the rest of the people in the country who want the bill to be passed. Now, after you have Spider-Man leave the apartment, he's then confronted by Tess that was sent there by Dr. Doom. Now, for Spider-Man, once again, he's very confused in why in the world all these different kinds of characters keep coming after him for. Because again, these are characters that he would not usually fight against. But we know why, because of Dr. Doom and the Acts of Vengeance group. But either way, you do have Spider-Man try his best to fight against Tess. But also, Peter is holding back when it comes to using his cosmic abilities. Because, it's like it's a robot. It should be easy to handle. But the problem is, the robot, Tess, has the ability to heal up by absorbing different kinds of metals around him. Now, as the battle goes on, once again, you have the public being very upset with Spider-Man and also his battle against another character because, again, it's causing property damage. And so you have Peter get so upset because these people are yelling at him, but also some of the people are saying that Peter is there to kill them. And so he gets so upset about them in this battle that he releases a huge amount of energy on the robot, destroying it. And so it's all like, okay, the battle is done, but at the same time realize that, oh my God, look at just what I did in front of innocent people. I lost control because I couldn't take a few comments from random people. And so you have Peter leave. Now, most of those pieces, they fell to the bottom of the ocean. But once again, you have Dr. Doom being able to send a few guys down to the bottom of the ocean to find those pieces. And now, when it comes to Doom, he tells us that the robot was able to absorb a huge amount of energy from Spider-Man, which means that now Doom might have the chance to take that energy and give it to himself and possibly be on the same level with Spider-Man. But now we jump over to Web of Spider-Man number 61. Now, when it comes to Web of Spider-Man number 61, it does continue Acts of Vengeance, but it's Spider-Man now fighting against Dragon Man in this chapter. Now, in the opening pages of this book, we actually pick up with Spider-Man saying that he's done. Once again, it's one of those books where you have Peter Parker saying he's done being Spider-Man, but this time it's a tad bit different. And the only reason why, because the newfound powers he has is just too much for him to handle. He feels like he has no right to hold on these kind of powers at all. But on top of that, the entire city is now beginning to hate him, and that's getting to him. And so he decided to go ahead and quit, and he throws his mask away. Now, after Spider-Man had threw away his mask, well, his mask was caught mid-air by the Wizard. And the Wizard is one of the members of the inner circle of Acts of Vengeance. And so once he does find the mask of Spider-Man, but also overhearing that Peter Parker is going to quit, you then have the Wizard go over to the rest of the inner circle and say, guys, listen, Spider-Man is done. He quit. Now, the rest of the inner circle, they don't believe the Wizard had actually found Spider-Man's mask. They believe it's actually a fake. Now, you do have the Wizard tell them, like, no, guys, I overheard him. He said he's done and threw his mask away. But you didn't have the rest of the inner circle say, we're not done with him. We need to find him and basically kill him, especially the Kingpin. Now, when it comes to Doom, he's all like, listen, I ain't got time for this right now. I am working on a very special project at this moment. And so Doom walks away. Now, Loki, he realized that Doom is up to something. And so for Loki, he decides to watch Dr. Doom very carefully. Now, when it comes to the Wizard, he does have a plan to find Spider-Man by using the mask as a way to find Spider-Man by following his scent. You see, when it comes to the Wizard, he has the robot or android better known as Dragon Man. And so Dragon Man is a robot that was created by a scientist, but also some magic was involved as well. But either way, when it comes to Dragon Man, he's able to follow the scent of anyone to the perfect location. And so you have the Wizard say, hey, follow this scent to Spider-Man and bring him over to us. Or, kill him. Either way, find Spider-Man. And you have Dragon Man leave. Now, for Peter, he's trying his best to live a regular life now. He goes home, he showers, he changes clothes. He sees a note that was left behind by Mary Jane that said, hey, we're going to meet up over here. But you do have Peter trying his best to live that normal life. Matter of fact, he runs into Liz Allen, or Liz Osborn, the wife to Harry Osborn. And he does tell Liz that he'll babysit little Normie. But then you have Peter continue on with his day. Matter of fact, when it comes to Peter, he's all like, you know what? I gotta meet up with Mary Jane. You know what? I'm gonna take the subway. Now, as soon as Peter left his apartment, Dragon Man had arrived, and Dragon Man almost found Peter, but he realized the scent is no longer there, and so he continues to follow Peter, and he follows Peter over to the subway. And really, the rest of Web of Spider-Man is really more of Peter Parker fighting against Dragon Man in the subway tunnels. Now, while you have the two characters fighting against each other, Spider-Man has to use his cosmic abilities to make a suit for him right then and there. But he has to fight against Dragon Man, even though he wanted to retire from the superhero life. Now, while you have the two characters fighting against each other, a train arrives. And of course, it gets involved in some property damage. Now, when that happens, you have Peter say, great, now the public is going to blame me for this as well. This freaking sucks. But the people on the train say, no, we're not mad at you. Matter of fact, we're happy to see you because you saved our life from that creature right there. And so guess what? We actually love you. And so because of that, you have Peter say, you know what? Maybe I should not quit being Spider-Man. Maybe I should continue on. Now, once he's able to take down Dragon Man, you have the Wizard fly by. And you have the Wizard very upset with himself. Not really Dragon Man himself, because now he realized that he had inspired Spider-Man to continue on to be a hero. If he had not sent Dragon Man after Peter, most likely Peter would not have continued on as Spider-Man until another event down the road. But again, thanks to the Wizard, Peter is now back as Spider-Man. And the last part that we are going to talk about in today's video, we jump back over to Dr. Doom. And remember, Dr. Doom had a project going on where he was trying to take the energy that he was able to absorb from Spider-Man and give it to himself. But unfortunately, when he tried, it doesn't work. And it seems like somebody had most likely sabotaged his project. Now, Doom has no idea who did it, but we know who it was. It was Loki. And so the book ends on that note right there. Now, there are a couple more chapters for Spider-Man when it comes to acts of vengeance, and we'll cover that in the next video for him. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.